Welcome to the W. Welcome to the W. Welcome to the W. Welcome to the WNBA.
What it do, peeps? It's the B Shuffle. Watch the damn tape. Hit that like, that share, that subscribe button. Hit that bell to get notified when I drop my next video. New subscribers, appreciate you for watching. Hope you get something out of the content. Old subscribers, thank you for continuing to rock with your boy and helping me build this platform and push out this content. I know a lot of people are crashing out about the Indiana Fever and the phantom call. Was it a foul? Was it not a foul? Folks, relax. 40 games left, and that's the deal. First, 5 teams played 4 games in 9 days. The Lynx, the Fever, the Lynx, the Fever, the Dream, the Mystics, and the Dallas Wings. One team's 4-0. 3 are 2-2, and the Wings are 0-4. The Lynx, if you watched any, I've watched almost every game this season except for a couple, like the Seattle Mercury game. I haven't watched that. The Lynx played the Connecticut Sun and were getting the brakes beat off of them for most of the game, and they had to mount a comeback to stay undefeated and go 4-0. That being said, it is hard on a woman's body to play 4 basketball games in 9 days. And a lot of those teams they had some road games in there. The Indiana Fever only played 1 road game, but they still played the other 3. They still played. They played the Atlanta Dream and lost the first game in a tough game at home. Then had to travel to Atlanta and play them again a few days later. That being said, let's take a look at the NBA and the oldest players in their league. And you'll see that there's not too many old players that are playing and competing for championships. Let's take a look at the NBA. So let's take a look at the NBA. LeBron James. And as you'll see on this list, there's only a few unicorns on this list. LeBron James out the playoffs. Chris Paul. Al Horford. Kyle Lowry. Look at the ages. You get to Steph Curry, 37 years old. Still playing at a high level, but has a lot of injuries. Even LeBron James injured, but still playing at a high level. Look at the years, 21 years. Steph Curry, 15 years. Kevin Durant, 17 years. He's 36 years old. Russell Westbrook, 36. Jimmy Butler, 35. 13 years, 16 years. Draymond Green, 12 years. He's 35. James Harden, 35. 15 years. Klay Thompson, 35 years old, 13 years. As we go through this list, have you seen anybody on this list that is competing for a title right now? Anybody. And this is the NBA, folks. This is the NBA. Rosters are not constructed with players of age and going for championships. Yes, an older player can win a championship, not saying that. But to construct a roster with veterans is backwards. You build with youth. Veterans are for leadership. Now, you look at that list, there's some unicorns on that list. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry off rip. Elite. Hall of Famers. You won't be able to tell the NBA story without talking about those 3 guys. Now, however you feel about Kevin Durant, besides the point. But that being said, They're not competing for Eastern or Western. They're not competing for the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. So that means they're not competing for a championship. It's the reason why they put Luka on that team. One, to kind of help LeBron try to get a title, but two, to replace LeBron James at 40. Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors, let's bring in another veteran and see if we can pair you together to make a run against some of these younger teams like Minnesota with Anthony Edwards and Oklahoma City with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The younger players in the NBA, the changing of the guard is starting before it happened before our eyes. The same thing is happening in the WNBA, folks. In the WNBA, you try to construct your roster two ways: with the youth movement or with veterans to try to make a run. The Fever chose to make a run with veterans. I get it. Some of y'all are new to the WNBA, so you might not understand that everybody in this league is not elite. I talked about that on another video. Most of these players are average to below average. The large majority of the league is average to below average. A lot of players fall off quick. Now let's take a look at how the Fever are constructed. And let's just take a look at the oldest players in the WNBA, the top 20. Now in comparison, if you just took the top 20 oldest players in the WNBA, 4 of the top 20 are on the Indiana Fever. DeWanna Bonner, the second oldest, tied for the second oldest player in the league with Alicia Clark. Sydney Colson, 35 years old. They got rid of Erica Wheeler, she's 34. Natasha Howard is 33. And Damaris Dantas is 32. The majority of your roster is older veteran players. It's a bad mix, especially as the season goes on and on. They're not getting any younger. Now we already saw where DeWanna Bonner is 37. In season she turns 38. 15 years. If you can look at her numbers, you can see. Look at the points. You can see where she hit her sweet spot. You can see where she hit her sweet spot. She hit her stride right there. Steady 14, 10, 15, 14, 17, 17, 19 points a game, 17, and then it starts to tail off. Plays a lot of games. 22, 32, 33, 40, 40. She's playing every game. The minutes were high. This is her sweet spot right here. This is the championship run right in this time frame right here. She's on the backside of her career. These players usually come off the bench at this point. Limited minutes. She was a starter. That's the reason why Lexi Holt played yesterday. Natasha Howard. She turns 34 years old in September. You can look at her peak in her career. Youngster hits her stride. This is when titles were won. In this time frame right here. Titles were won in this time frame. 18 points a game, 16, 15, 16, 17. Steady performer. Them games dropped. 39, 27 was injured last year. Still getting up in age. And you got this right here. This is currently. Just like DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna Bonner's averaging 2.5 points a game. older players. Now, after looking at that, the Fever, most of their roster is constructed of these players. My frame and my grading criteria, at 32 years old, your check engine light starts to come on, and at 33 it's on solid. At 35, your check engine light blinking. So a lot of those players, and they can still cut loose here and there, but on a consistent basis, probably the main one out of that list that can consistently, that is defying her age, is Skylar Diggins. And with that being said, you still have to have a nice roster. And they have two players that are up in age. Neneke is an older player too. Skylar Diggins is an older player. That's what the Wings got. You got Colson, you got Bonner, Howard, and Dantas on this roster. Older age. In a perfect scenario, there would be a younger player, say like Alexi Hull would be starting. DeWanna Bonner would come in and spell Lexi Hull. That's the ideal thing you want. You want DeWanna Bonner when she comes in at her age, because she turns 38 this year. You want DeWanna Bonner at her age to be able to maximize all her energy for the short period of time she's going to be on the court. That's it. You want to be able to harness when she was consistently a high performer all-star. You want to get that out of her. You can't get that out of her starting, because she's gonna, them youngsters are going to run her. They're going to run her to death. Especially this past week, you battled some front courts that were huge. You played the Dream twice. You played the Dream 2 times with Brianna Jones and Brittany Griner. Them women are huge. Very physical. That takes a lot out of a player. That takes a lot. That's why Natasha Howard didn't look good the first time, and then the second time she looked better. But you're not going to get 24 points out of Natasha Howard every night. We just saw her stats. We just saw her game. She's a here and there player. Caitlin Clark's a Lamborghini. You should put high-end performance sports cars on the court with Caitlin Clark to run with. There's nothing worse than seeing Caitlin Clark on a break and she's by herself, because everybody else is behind her. Slow. DeWanna Bonner said it. I believe DeWanna Bonner said it in the preseason. I think they were playing Brazil, and they were running and gunning, and DeWanna Bonner was like, whoa. Like she said, she made a joke about her age, but it was the truth. It's hard to run. It's hard to run with a Lambo and you with Ford Taurus. It's hard. But that's what you're going to get a lot this season. That's the reason why you see so many blown layups. Tired, especially this week. The first week, the league did them no favors. Remember, 5 teams played 4 games. The Lynx barely beat Connecticut. They had to scratch and claw to beat the Connecticut Sun. Scratch and claw. That's it. It's a long season, folks. They're still really basically in preseason mode, still trying to knock off rust. But with that being said, this team has to develop their bench. You notice Sydney Colson did not play much. Was no benefit, no help to Caitlin Clark. All she did was let Caitlin Clark sit on the sideline, breathe for a second, and get back in that game. Caitlin Clark needs help. She needs a breather too. She is not Superwoman. The reason why that shot wasn't falling these last 2 games, hell, she's tired. That's the truth. She's tired. She needs some help. You gotta have a competent backup. You have to use your bench. Michaela Timpson, you made the team. she's going to have to develop and develop at a quicker rate. You see, how would Indiana look if you had Caitlin Clark running with Kiki Irvin, who can run? I watched the game with Kiki when she played the Aces. Kiki was running with Asia Wilson like it wasn't nothing. Looked like Asia Wilson. That's what I wanted them to put around Caitlin Clark. I wanted them to build a team. They chose the way they did. They're going to have to ride with it this season. It is what it is. But the people on this bench are going to have to step up their games. Cunningham's going to have to step up. Bonner is going to have to step up because Bonner should come off the bench. Brianna Turner is going to have to step up her play. That's it. Step up their play. Execute better. But it's hard when you have a heavy veteran team and you're relying on vets. The days they get out of bed and they don't feel like they got it, they ain't gonna have it. It ain't no pull a magic a rabbit out of your hat and all of a sudden they're 24 again. That ain't it. DeWanda Bonner's 37. Today when she wakes up, she's 37. When they play the Mystics on the 27th, she is 37. Natasha Howard is 33. She gonna be 33 when they play the Mystics. They play the Mystics on the 27th in 2 days. The Mystics will try to run that ball down their throat. Sonia Citrone and that Melbourne, they run. They get out and run. Kiki Irvin runs. She ain't caring about Natasha Howard. She's already battled Brittany Griner and Asia Wilson, and she didn't have any fear of either one of them. She battled Tina Charles. They're battle tested. I'm giving you a preview of that game. Trust and believe Washington can come and get a win. Washington can get a win. That's what you're going to face with this team this year. There's going to be highs and lows. There's going to be some games where they don't look like themselves. Even the Chicago game. Chicago has a big front line. Angel Reese, for as sorry as a player she is basketball-wise, she's still very physical. And that probably was the game that they should have rested the starters. When they were up 30, they should have pulled the starters and got some rest and got ready for the dream. Just looking back and thinking about it now. That was the game you should have rested some players. When you get a big lead like that, and we'll have to watch that going forward because there's a lot of sorry teams in this league and you can blow them out. You might want to rest some of these older players and get Michaela Timpson in and get her some quality minutes because you're going to need her throughout this season. Because the way they got this schedule, it's a meat grind in the WNBA. But I just wanted to jump on here real quick with that and show you that, hey man, the team ain't constructed the way you think it is. And that's the reason why you see these, whoa, what happened? And it catches you off guard. But leave your comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
Welcome to the dub. Welcome to the dub. Welcome to the dub. Welcome to the dub. The WNBA.